cry, my dear. Author
Hossein Hilbert.
This story. Childhood. Part 1. Number 1. My name was chosen 4 years before I was born. After the marriage, my parents decided to name their first child Oronus, if it was a girl, and Ardavan, if it was a boy. 4 kings from the Ashkanian dynasty were named Ardavan. Their first child was a girl, whom they named Oronus, according to the agreement. 2 years later, I was born on Imam Hossein's birthday. Everyone told my parents, "Your son has brought his name with him." My name was changed from Ardavan to Hossein. My birthday showed that life is not always predictable. Number 2. I was 3 years old when all my family members were poisoned after eating traditional ice cream. They were so sick that they had to stay in bed all day. Surprisingly, I was fine. That scene where I walked between them, who seemed to be asleep or unconscious, is etched in my memory. I had heard that the ice cream was spoiled, but I didn't know why I didn't feel sick. Maybe I was sick too, but not as bad as the others. It wasn't possible that I hadn't eaten ice cream, because I was a quiet and harmless child, and there was no reason not to have given me ice cream as a punishment. Was I stronger than others? Has my dear God protected me since I was born? Given the events that happened in my life after that, these thoughts cannot be far from reality. Number 3. When I was 4 years old, one of the bad boys in the neighborhood named Amir, who was older and stronger than me, called me names. After some bullying and a stupid excuse, he pushed me so hard that I fell on the floor. Although I wasn't hurt, I knocked on the door of their house. Amir's mother opened the door. In a complaining tone, I told her what Amir had done. Contrary to my expectation, instead of saying that she will insult or punish her son, in a very angry tone and full of hatred, she used some mean swear words. Then she ordered and threatened, "Away! You muck boy! If you knock on our door again, I'll beat you so badly that you'll fall on the floor again, and won't be able to get up." Even if she had lied to me and just said, "I will confront him," I would have calmed down and thanked her, but her bad and ugly behavior broke my heart so much, that with all my heart, I wished her death from the merciful God. When I left the house 3 days later, I saw some men leaving the house of Amir's family, carrying a coffin on their shoulders. They were saying sentences together in Arabic. Women, dressed in black, followed them screaming and crying. I asked one of the children, what happened? He said, Amir's mother is dead. I was amazed at how quickly my curse had worked. Even though I had cursed her myself and wished her dead, I wasn't happy at all. I loved my mother indescribably. Although I had hated Amir, I felt sorry for him, because he had become motherless, so I felt guilty. At that time, I had no doubt that Amir's mother had died because of my curse. Years later, as I got older, I thought that her death was not due to my curse, but that she must be ill, and coincidentally I had cursed her a few days before she died. I thought maybe her bad behavior towards me was due to her illness. Although a good and kind person, under no circumstances, can treat a child who has been wronged by her son so badly. He can even be nicer and kinder than ever before. Number 4. I was 5 years old when I started to do something very stupid. One day I filled a large glass from the cistern and took it to my friends, who were playing outside our house. Playing and being active in the summer heat made everyone thirsty. If I had simply said, "Who wants water?" no doubt some of them took the glass from my hand and drank it. But I said in an excited tone, as if we wanted to do something special and strange, "Children, let's drink this water." The tone in which I spoke about something as simple as drinking water was suspicious. I knew that the water from the cistern was only used for washing, even though it was clear and odorless. One of the children asked, "Is this drinking water?" I thought that if I said no, they would mock me, so I said, "Of course it's drinking water. What else is it?" Another child said, "If it's drinking water, drink it yourself first." I took a sip of it. He said, "You didn't drink any of it." I protested, "Didn't you see that I've been drinking?" He looked suspiciously at the glass and said that nothing was missing. I drank half of the water. There was no longer any doubt that I had drunk this water. One of the children held out his hand to me and said, "Give it to me. I'm very thirsty." I held the glass out to him, but before he took it from me, I suddenly thought that this water could make ill and turned the glass down. All the water poured out onto the floor. While others were surprised by my work, I said, "My mother says that several people shouldn't drink from one glass. If one person is sick, the others will get it too." I don't know why I even thought about drinking the water from the cistern. Maybe the more forbidden something is, the more tempting it is. Perhaps I was fed up with the monotonous games and wanted to do something new and exciting. Either way, thank God, I came to my senses in time, and emptied the rest of the water on the floor. When I remember this incident, I am glad and thank God, that I did not make others sick, otherwise I could never forgive myself, although as a 5-year-old child, I did not know that drinking this water was dangerous. Contaminated water caused me typhoid, and I was not far from death. At that time, there was no effective medication against typhoid, or it was not available in Iran. If someone got typhoid, the probability of dying was much higher than surviving. I suffered from high fever for many days and nights. To bring my fever down, my mother used calf compresses and put a damp cloth on my forehead. I was severely emaciated, and turned into skin and bones. By the will of the merciful God and the great sacrifice of my mother, who took care of me around the clock, my fever of over 40 degrees finally stopped and I overcame the illness. Sometimes when I opened my eyes, I saw my mother praying and crying softly so as not to wake me up. The last time the doctor came to visit me at home, he said to my mother, "You are very lucky that your son is alive. Most people who fall ill with typhoid, have a ruptured intestine and die. Your child has become very weak. I think it will be able to eat little by little. You need to strengthen it." My mother bought and cooked a chicken for me, but I couldn't even eat a piece of it, and my mother fed me the juice with a spoon. It took a few more weeks before I got back on my feet. I have never been able to forgive myself for all the trouble and pain that my mother had to endure because of my stupidity. Number 5. My father left the house early in the morning and came home late at night. The whole burden of life was on my mother's shoulders. She was a teacher. Teaching at school, shopping, and cooking didn't leave her much time to spend with me and my sisters. I had a nanny who we called Mummy Nazi. She loved me like her own son, and looked after me and my sisters all day long. I was the same age as Mummy Nazi's son, and she breastfed me. In the evening, my mother gave her a lot of food, so that she wouldn't have to cook dinner at home. I was 6 years old when Mummy Nazi stopped coming. She wanted a higher salary and my mother, who had to pay her salary from her own salary, was against it, and argued that she would get into financial trouble. When Mummy Nazi stopped coming, I got a fever and fell ill, because I loved her very much and was dependent on her. I couldn't get out of bed. After a few days, my mother sent her a message, saying that she agreed with her salary request. After Mummy Nazi's return, my fever stopped very soon, and I got well again. When I was 10 years old, Mummy Nazi left us. Apart from the fact that her husband's income had improved, she no longer had the strength to work in 2 houses. Although I loved her very much, I was not only not sad to see her go, I was happy, because she now had to work less, and I could therefore easily bear her absence. 3 years later, one of Mummy Nazi's relatives came to our house one day. When I entered the room, she told my mother that Mummy Nazi had died. Before my mother could say anything, I quickly left the room and went to the basement, so that I could cry loudly with all my heart, without anyone seeing or hearing me. Above all, I wanted to avoid my mother seeing how miserable I was, and making her even more sad than she already was with this terrible news. It was the first time in my life that I had lost a loved one. I felt, more than ever, how much I loved her. After all, she was my second mother.